been a bit clumsy.
You know me, clumsy P.D. Parker. Help! Mr. Campbell, I remembered I left something in the bathroom. Deuces.
Parker out.
Superpower size kid, know you want a neighbor like me. Look out.
Somebody help me! He's running, grab him! Gotcha! Oh! Watch out for that ladder! Just consider it a good deed from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's me, by the way. I'm Spider-Man.
Swinging through the city so fast you could barely notice him.
I truly believe that I have these powers to help people, to protect them.
Need my city, you need me. Taking off the mask, I know what you see. Know you want a neighbor like me. Just a young man cleaning up the streets. Ain't nothing changed, no, this is the real me.
So, you're Spider-Man. With my help, you'll achieve greatness.
Oh, man! This suit's incredible! If you ever need another butt kicking, just look for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Know you want a neighbor like me.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone, where we love talking about movies and more. I'm your host, Mason Phillips, and today I've got a TV review for the Disney Plus original series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Before we get any further in this review, I want to ask you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified when new videos go live on this channel. When you guys do that, it always helps me out. I greatly appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the plot.
Peter Parker is on his way to becoming Spider-Man in the MCU, with a journey unlike we've ever seen and a style that celebrates the character's early comic book roots.
Alright, so what was good about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? This was a show that was getting dogged on so much before it was even released. I hate that mentality that we have now about judging something before it's even out. You know, you'll see the comments on the new Superman movie about people judging the costume design and certain things about the trailer, and it's just based off of the trailer, and we haven't even seen the full picture, but people are already writing that movie off. They did the same thing with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, saying that this is a multiverse project, it's an animated show, it's not worthy of my time, so I'm not even going to give this the benefit of the doubt. I don't like the animation style, so obviously this is going to be an awful show. That kind of rhetoric rubs me the wrong way. As the audience, we have a responsibility to just sit back and watch something, soak it in, and then take it for what it's worth after the fact. Stop making opinions on something before we even get there. I know that we all do that. We make judgment calls before we've even met a person or, gotten to know somebody. We make judgment calls about people, about food, about everything. We have opinions about everything. I mean, that's what this channel's about. I do critique film and TV, but that rubbed me the wrong way going into this. I mean, everybody had a dissenting comment. There was hardly any positivity going into the show, and this is one of the best Spider-Man animated shows that I have seen. It's not the best, but one of the best. It was a very entertaining show. It deals with some very hard-hitting stuff. I want to talk about the Lonnie Lincoln character. I was not expecting that character to be so fleshed out and so deep. He's the tombstone villain for Spider-Man in the comics, and that's what he ends up kind of going towards. He's not really villainous at the end of this season, but I can see his character going in that direction. He gets the powers of Tombstone at the end of the show. He gets the name Tombstone, so he's going in that direction, but they flipped the character so much on his head. At first I thought he was going to be like maybe Peter Parker's new best friend next to Nico Minoru, who's also a great character in the show. But Lonnie, he has this family life. We see depth to this character. We see what he's going through. He gets involved with the gang because his little brother had gotten involved with this gang, and so he doesn't destroy his life. He goes in and replaces him, takes his place in the gang. He's sticking up for his family. He cares about his family, loves his family, and you see this different side to this character. The first time we meet this character, we think he's the guy that's in the way of Peter getting in a relationship with Pearl. He's the guy that she's dating. We're not supposed to like this guy, and he turns out to be so genuine and so nice and so friendly to Peter, and so it's so hard to dislike this guy when he is so likable. He's a very well-written character. I liked Lonnie. He made some frustrating decisions along the way as we got further on into the show, but at the offset of the show, at the beginning, I really enjoyed this character. Nico Minoru, I talked about her. She was a nice addition addition to it. Now, I know this character from The Runaways. That's where she comes from in the comics. I knew this character from the TV show, Marvel's Runaways, so I had a little bit of familiarity with this character already, but it's interesting the different interpretations of Spider-Man, bringing in these different friends. Harry Osborn was the friend to Peter Parker in the Sam Raimi movies. In the Andrew Garfield movies, Harry comes into the second movie, but he doesn't really have that like best friend figure. And then the Tom Holland movies come along, we got Ned Leeds. And so in this version of the Spider-Man story, we got Nico Minoru, who is Spider-Man's best friend. And Harry does come into the picture as well, but not quite in the same way as he has in the past. So it's interesting the way that this show had the liberty of doing different things because it is a multiverse story. It is very much parallel to the MCU. It's basically What If, but focused on one specific story and on a grander scale, not just one singular episode, but a whole season focused on one specific character. So I enjoyed that element of it. The Watcher even makes a cameo in the final episode of the season. So that's cool. There's that connection to What If in the MCU and the greater story going on here. So I don't know how this is going to have implications to the MCU going forward. If it's really going to play into Secret Wars or Avengers Doomsday, I don't think it will, but I'm enjoying the show nonetheless. Coleman Domingo's Norman Osborn is a welcome addition to this show. I thought he did a great job as well. I love that flip it does of instead of Tony Stark being the mentor to Peter, it's now Norman Osborn, and so that was a cool element to it as well. And you have the implications of what's going on in the greater MCU. Basically, the MCU is playing out the same way, just where Spider-Man is concerned, certain things are a little different than they were with the Tom Holland version. So the Sokovia Accords, Civil War, all that stuff is going on. We even run into Secretary Ross, Thaddeus Ross, at some point in the show. Norman Osborn is interacting with him because of Spider-Man being an active figure out in New York City and being sponsored by Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn has to play ball with Secretary Ross on the Sokovia Accord side of things. So that was cool. That was a nice little addition there. You know, we get little cameos from other Marvel characters. Iron Man makes a brief cameo in here. We get Doctor Strange at the beginning of the show and the twist. Now, spoiler alert. I know I usually just kind of spoil things off the bat, but spoiler alert, I want to get into this really quick because I thought this was really cool. That I should have figured this out from the beginning, but I thought that this Doctor Strange was coming from the multiverse, from another universe, maybe not necessarily the 616 Earth 19999 version, the Benedict Cumberbatch version of Doctor Strange that we have in the MCU, but another version in the multiverse. But this Doctor Strange appears to come from the same universe as this Spider-Man, but he's from the future. So we get a little bit of interaction on how this Peter Parker got bit by the spider, and then it's revealed in the season finale how all of that played out and how all of that went down. So that's cool that it does a really cool wraparound, and you see where this character started, Peter Parker, where he started to where he is now in the show. So that was cool. That was a great twist, and I did not see that coming at all. Maybe I should have, but I think that was really cool. Very well done. Other cameos, we get Matt Murdock, Daredevil, voiced by Charlie Cox in this, and they're definitely going all in on the connection to the Netflix version because that theme song from Daredevil comes back just like it was in She-Hulk. Now, this is the multiverse version. The Daredevil that takes place on this universe obviously has a lot of parallels with the main 616 Daredevil, so that's cool in how they did all of that stuff. And I think that Daredevil will also be making more appearances in other seasons, future seasons of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think I've heard that Vincent D'Onofrio might be voicing Kingpin in the next season, so that's cool as well. I love that we get a bigger look at the Rogues Gallery for Spider-Man in this. We get Doc Ock in this. He doesn't have the arms yet, but the end of the season's kind of teasing that we'll probably get him like that in the next season. We got Scorpion, Matt Gargan. We got him as Scorpion here first before we even get Michael Mando's version as Scorpion, paying off that post-credit scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. So we haven't even gotten a live-action Scorpion in his true form yet. So it's funny that they did it here first. There's a lot of cool stuff. I love the dynamic between Peter and Aunt May. I think all the supporting cast was really, really good. I love the supporting cast in this. The writing was a lot more in-depth than I thought it was going to be. It's not very surface level. There's a lot of depth to these characters. They're real characters. You feel their story. You feel the emotion, the depth, what's going on with these characters. And so it's cool that it's not just a kid's show. There's more to it than that. And I appreciated that they took their time with this show. They cared about it. It's clear that the creators of this show really cared about the material that they were working on. So I appreciated this show for that. Love that theme song as a callback to the original 1960s animated Spider-Man show. It does a remix of that. Love that intro. So that was really cool. Created a good vibe as you go into each episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And then finally, what I also really liked was the animation style for this. I love that comic book classic 1960s Steve Ditko design that they used for Spider-Man. I thought that was really, really cool, really well done. I loved it. I think it really worked. You know, there's a little bit of 3D animation mixed with with 2D animation in this, and it's cool how it all pops because it makes it feel vibrant, but also very different from something I've seen before. And I appreciated that aspect of the show. I really, really enjoyed it. That was cool. That was a nice element to it. That's all I got in the good aspect of this. So let's move on to what was mixed about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. All right, so what I find was mixed about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that would be Peter Parker himself. Not so much the voice, it's the same voice actor who voiced him in What If, and he's trying to emulate the Tom Holland Spider-Man, that's very clear, and I thought he did a fine job. What I didn't like is that he seems to be overshadowed by all of the supporting cast. The supporting cast was so well done that sometimes I actually cared more about what was going on with the other characters rather than what was going on with Spider-Man. I think that's where the show has some room to improve going into season 2 and season 3 and possibly season 4. I've heard the show's supposed to get about 4 seasons, or at least that's what they've planned for this show so far. Hopefully they'll get the chance to go 4 seasons long and maybe 5 seasons long. I'm really digging the show, so if it can go as long as it can, I'm all for the show getting multiple seasons down the road. But I think the Peter Parker character has some room to grow. There are times he was a little annoying. The dialogue is a little cringy at times with him. I know he's a high schooler, so I'm giving them some grace on that. He's a freshman in high school. Did we have great, fantastic dialogue when we were that age? Probably not. I know I didn't. So I'm giving the show a little bit of a pass on that. He's talking like a kid, but as far as where he is as the character, he's the main character of the show, and oftentimes I was more interested in what was going on with the supporting cast, what was going on with Nico, what was going on with Norman Osborn, what was going on with the villains at times as well, like Doc Ock. I wanted to know what was going on with these other characters. I did enjoy the Spider-Man story, but I think it could have been better. I thought Lonnie's story was the most interesting thing about the entire show. So when I am more excited to see what's going on with Lonnie Lincoln and not Spider-Man, I think that's a little bit of an issue. So that's where I think the show has some room to grow. Now, I did say I like the animation style, but at times it did feel a little stiff. They could also work on that, make it feel a little bit more fluid. I know they probably had a smaller budget, so hopefully they'll get a bigger budget going into the next season as well. That's all I got in the mix section. Let's move on to the negative aspects of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. All right, so what didn't work with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? I'll be honest, I don't really have anything in this section for the video. It was mainly in the mixed section where I had some nitpicks. Nothing that really rubbed me the wrong way with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, I could see the impact might be a little lessened if this doesn't really play into Avengers Endgame and Avengers Secret Wars. So maybe they need to focus on that as we get further on into the show. If this is really truly a Marvel Studios project, it should probably play into everything else going on in the MCU. But that's where the fault of the Multiverse Saga has been, where nothing has really played into the next project and everything's felt very standalone, but standalone in maybe a bad way because we're so focused on how's this going to connect to the next project that we're not focused on the project itself. So I think that's where this show has some room to grow. Maybe they could address that in future seasons, but I don't really have anything necessarily in the bad section. So let's move on to my final thoughts for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I really liked Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It was a breath of fresh air from a very lackluster couple of years in the MCU. I thought 2024's MCU season was a nice improvement over the lackluster 2023 season, so it's been getting better. However, we did just have Captain America Brave New World, and that didn't really fire on all cylinders like I had hoped. But Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has been very good. The Disney Plus side of the MCU has actually oddly been a little bit better than the movie side, Deadpool and Wolverine aside. But last year's run with Disney Plus, maybe Echo aside, was very, very good. And so I am excited that we're already off to a strong start with 2025. We got Daredevil Born Again coming out, and the reactions to that show are amazing. So far, everybody's gotten the chance to see that show early, has had nothing but great things to say about it. So I'm super excited to check out Daredevil Born Again, and I cannot wait for the next season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This was a breath of fresh air. The animation was on point. The character drama was great. All the supporting cast was amazing. I think that they have some work to do where Spider-Man himself is concerned, but the show overall was a nice watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the next season. If I'm going to give the show a rating, it's got to be a 4 out of 5 or a B+ on the letter scale. It's not perfect. It does have some room to grow, but I quite enjoyed it. If you've seen Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, go down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of the show. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Before you guys go, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified when new videos go live on this channel. When you guys do that, it always helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. Hope you all have an awesome and a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.